Effects of Altitude Training on VO2 Max for 1 week by Taylor Lusher. Background. This study seeks to understand whether altitude training does or does not have an effect on VO2 max. Altitude training has been used for a long time to train professional athletes. There's long been a debate on how long it takes exactly to see any benefits in your VO2 max from altitude training. It is very important for athletes to know exactly how long they need to train at altitude. Background continued. Knowing exactly how long to stay at altitude to receive the maximum benefit is very important to know. Athletes want to peak in their training at just the right time. It is beneficial to know how long to train at altitude, so you know how long before competition you need to start your training. We need to do research in this area to prove that altitude training does or does not help to increase VO2 max. Problem statement. The research question is, can athletes see any benefit in their VO2 max from altitude training? The hypothesis is that altitude training for 1 week, participants' VO2 max will increase. 1 week is long enough. It's long enough time to see a potential benefit from the altitude training if one does exist. For the hypothesis to be correct, we will need to see an increase in VO2 max for the dependent variables and a smaller or no change in the independent variable. For the methods, the hypothesis for this experiment is that training with the altitude mask on for 1 week will increase the participants' VO2 max. The independent variable in this study are the participants that do not have the mask on. Our dependent variables are the participants that will be wearing the mask for the duration of the training. There are 2 male participants. The 2 male participants are at the age of 24, and 2 female participants at 22 years of age. The reason for 2 males and 2 females is to compare the results of the 2 males with the results of the 2 females to locate any discrepancies in gender. My participants were gathered from St. Ambrose University track team. All 4 participants are members of the track team and have experience with cardio training. There are a few potential threats to the validity of the experiment. Making sure that the athletes will be wearing the altitude training mask for the entire duration of their workout. This threatens the validity because if they remove the mask, the results will be altered. The athletes will be under constant supervision for the duration of the workout. If one of the athletes decides not to show up for a workout, it would threaten the results of the test. The athletes will be told ahead of time that they will have to complete every workout each day in order to have accurate results. The altitude training mask will be supplied to the 2 dependent variables, 1 male, 1 female. The primary exercises will be a warm-up in the morning, and then it will be a 60-minute run. They will begin interval training lasting for 60 minutes. At the end of the workout, the athletes will have a 10-minute cool down. The evening workout will again consist of a 10-minute warm-up. The athletes will then begin their 60-minute interval training. They will then begin the 10-minute cool down. The test will last for 7 days. Retesting of each athlete's VO2 max will begin on day 8. Each athlete will be tested before the first day of training and after the final day of training. This study will help to conclude if, in fact, you can quickly gain an advantage from altitude training. This will help to discover if you really can get any. Even if the numbers reflect an slight increase in VO2 max for the control group, then we have discovered that the longer you are exposed to altitude, then the more the improvement in the VO2 max. The male dependent variable had a VO2 max of 48, and the female dependent variable had a VO2 max of 55. The male independent variable had a VO2 max of 50, and the female independent had a VO2 max of 53. The participants at the end of training, the dependent variables had a combined VO2 max increase of 4.0, 2.0 for the male, 2.0 for the female. There was no change recorded in the independent variables. So the participants not wearing a mask gained no boost in their VO2 max. This proves the hypothesis that altitude training for 1 week consistently will increase your VO2 max. The findings? The results of the experiment were combined increase to 4.0, the VO2 max for the dependent variables. The independent variables had no change. This experiment supports the hypothesis that altitude training for 1 week will increase your VO2 max. This helps to show that athletes who are training at altitude will in fact receive some benefits.